Title: My mom justified my wife's cheating with my best friend, BC. Your wife needs a real man. Just once, I gave her everything and still ended up a stranger at my own dinner table. Before we begin, welcome to Narrative Stories, where silence often speaks louder than rage. If you have ever chosen dignity over chaos, this story is for you. I had always believed that commitment meant showing up, day after day, year after year, even when things got hard. As a firefighter in Lincoln, Nebraska, I had spent the better part of my life running into burning buildings for strangers, but nothing ever prepared me for the slow burn that was unraveling inside my own home. My name is Logan Grayson, and for 11 years, I had given everything to my wife Camilla, my time, my money, my loyalty, and every ounce of the quiet, steady love I had to offer. We had a daughter, Isla, who was just about to turn 9, and for her sake, I clung to the belief that our family was still worth fighting for. I worked long shifts, missed holidays, came home smelling like smoke and sweat, but I never complained because I believed my role was to protect, provide, and endure. Camilla used to appreciate that. She used to meet me at the door with tired eyes and soft smiles, but lately the warmth had been gone. She stopped laughing at my dumb firehouse stories. She stopped sitting close to me on the couch. Her phone became another limb, and her eyes began to look past me like I was a wall. At first, I told myself it was just stress. That marriage had seasons, that maybe I had been distant too. But deep down, I knew something was changing. Camilla started dressing differently, like she was trying to impress someone new. She started leaving the house at odd hours, saying she was going for a drive or meeting up with friends I had never heard of before. The woman I had built my life with, the mother of my child, began to look more and more like a stranger, and I was still clinging to the blueprint of the life we had made together. I noticed Isla clinging to me more too. She was a sharp little girl, too observant for her age. She would crawl into my lap at night and just sit there, quiet, like she was afraid something was slipping through the cracks. And still, I waited. I made excuses. I doubled down on dinners, family game nights, movie weekends, hoping it would bring Camilla back. But when your presence becomes an inconvenience to someone you love, you start to feel like a guest in your own home. And in that growing silence, something inside me shifted. I stopped trying to fix it and started watching. Because the man I had always been, the calm one, the patient one, the provider, was beginning to understand that love without respect is just slow heartbreak. Section 2. The distance that could not be ignored. The silence between us was no longer soft. It was sharp, like walking barefoot across broken glass every time I stepped into the house. Camilla stopped pretending entirely. She would leave her phone face down, but the screen would still light up constantly with messages she never explained. She started taking longer showers and wearing perfume to places like the grocery store. Once, I saw a lipstick I had never bought her roll out of her purse, and when I picked it up, she snatched it back like I had touched something sacred. I said nothing. Not because I was blind, but because I wanted to be absolutely sure before I shattered the illusion. Isla started asking questions in her own way. She would ask why Mommy was always tired or why she never ate dinner with us anymore. I had no answers, only quiet hugs and late-night bedtime stories to cover the cracks that were growing too wide to ignore. Then, there was the night Camila came home 2 hours late from a school fundraiser and smelled like cologne that did not belong to me. I memorized it, not because I wanted to, but because I knew it would come back. Everything she did began to stack up like kindling. Strange receipts in her purse for restaurants I had never been to, gym visits at times she had never gone before, and tension in her voice that felt rehearsed. I watched her flirt on the phone when she thought I was asleep, laughing in a way she had not with me in years. The same woman who once clung to my chest when Isla was born now avoided my gaze like I reminded her of everything she had outgrown. And through it all, I said nothing. Because I was no longer trying to save the marriage, I was studying it. I was looking for patterns, for lies she told twice, for holes in her stories. I was measuring the shape of her betrayal so that when the moment came, I would not flinch. I began logging everything, timestamps, screenshots, location check-ins. I was not planning revenge. I was preparing the truth. The distance had become more than emotional. It had become a strategy. And the man she thought was still lost in loyalty had begun to quietly, methodically, build his exit. It was a Thursday. Night. Quiet. Except for the hum of the dishwasher and the distant sound of Isla brushing her teeth before bed, when I walked past the kitchen and saw Camilla's phone left unlocked on the counter. She had always guarded that device like a secret she could not afford to lose, but tonight, for whatever reason, she had let her guard down. I stared at it for a moment, every part of me screaming to walk away, but I picked it up, and in those first few swipes, everything I had feared became real. There they were, messages between Camilla and Tyler, Isla's soccer coach, flirty, bold, intimate, photos, late-night jokes about practice running long. A message where she said, "Logan's still stuck in that firefighter hero routine. So predictable, so boring." I could not breathe. Not because of the betrayal alone, but because my daughter had been around this man, this lie, without knowing. I felt sick, not angry, sick. I put the phone down carefully, like it was a loaded weapon, and stepped into the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. Then I went back and took photos. Every message, every timestamp, every detail. I checked her browsing history, location history, bank receipts. There were charges to hotel lounges, gym supplements, unfamiliar restaurants. I took them all. I backed everything up to a hidden drive. And then I called Joseph, my lawyer, a man I trusted from a case years ago. We met the next morning. No emotion, just strategy. Joseph helped me draft a post-nuptial agreement that would freeze Camilla's access to all shared assets the moment she signed. We included clauses for full custody of Isla, accounting for emotional misconduct. It was not about vengeance. It was about protection. I went home that night and tucked Isla in like always, brushing her hair off her forehead while she asked if Mommy would ever smile again. I whispered something soft and safe, but in my heart, I had already made the decision. The next move would be mine. The quiet, steady man she thought would always endure had found his line, and it had been crossed. Section 4. The dinner that ended, her illusion. I chose Firebird Steakhouse because it was Camilla's favorite, and because it sat at the edge of town like a stage set for endings. I told her it was an anniversary dinner, something special for the family, and she lit up like she still believed she had control of the story. She invited her parents, I invited mine, and Isla wore a soft, blue dress that matched her eyes, completely unaware that her world was about to change. I watched Camilla that night, all dressed up, smiling like a performance, brushing her hair behind her ear in that same habit she had since we were teenagers. Tyler was not there, but he had been part of every detail that brought us to this moment. The waiter had just placed down the wine when I stood up, pulled out the folder, and laid it on the table like a final script. I spoke clearly, not loud. "This is not a celebration," I said. "This is a truth that needed a table." I opened the folder and passed it around. Screenshots of messages, hotel receipts, gym check-ins, and one final note, a printout of the post-nuptial agreement and divorce papers. The room went still. The only sound was Camilla's breath catching in her throat. Her father stared at her like he had never seen her before, and her mother began quietly crying. Isla looked at me, confused, until I told her gently to go with my sister outside for a moment. Camilla's voice cracked. "Logan, please, we can talk." But I shook my head. "You already talked. To him. This is me finishing the conversation." Tyler never showed. He had disappeared the moment I sent him a message with a preview of what was coming. Camilla signed the documents without looking up, hands trembling. When we walked out, I held Isla's hand, and for the first time in months, she smiled without hesitation. Behind me, Camilla remained seated in that booth, surrounded by the ruin of her own deception, while the man she had underestimated walked, out not with noise, but with truth, custody, and peace. Section 5. Her collapse, my clarity. Section 3. The discovery that changed everything. The days that followed felt quieter, not because life had slowed down, but because the weight I had been carrying for months was finally gone. Camilla moved back in with her parents after Tyler vanished completely, blocked her number, deleted his accounts, left her clinging to a fantasy that had crumbled in front of everyone. She called me more times than I could count, each voicemail more desperate than the last. Some were tearful, begging for a second chance. Others were angry, accusing me of destroying her life, but I never responded. I had spent too many nights trying to hold together something she had already set on fire. Isla stayed with me in the house she grew up in. I turned her room into a place of healing. Soft lights, new books, weekend projects that reminded her she was still safe. She never asked much about her mother, but when she did, I told her the truth gently and without bitterness. "Some people forget what love looks like when they chase attention," I said. "But you and I, we remember." Camilla's family distanced themselves from her, ashamed and exhausted, and I heard from mutual friends that she had taken leave from work, struggling with depression and guilt. But I did not gloat. I did not tell Isla about her mother's spiral. That was not my story to pass down. Instead, I woke up early, made her breakfast, walked her to school, and let the silence between chapters teach me what peace truly meant. It was not loud. It did not need to announce itself. It came in the small things: folded clothes, steady breath, warm dinners, and the quiet joy of no longer needing to wonder if I was enough. I had always been enough. She just never saw it. And now, finally, I did. Section 6. Peace does not ask permission. It has been over a year now since that dinner at Firebird Steakhouse, and I still remember the sound of silence that followed my last words to Camilla, final, unshaken, and strangely kind. I never raised my voice, never called her names, never asked her why. I had already answered every question in the months before that night while watching our marriage unravel thread by thread. These days, I live in a smaller house just outside Lincoln, not far from where I once ran into burning buildings without thinking twice. Funny how those flames never scared me, but the slow burn of betrayal nearly did. Isla and I have settled into something real. Simple routines, laughter that returns on its own, Sunday mornings with pancakes and music playing in the background. She is stronger now. She sleeps better. And sometimes, when she grabs my hand, without saying a word, I know she feels safe again. Camilla has not come around since the divorce was finalized, and I have no idea if she ever will. Part of me hopes she finds peace, if only so the weight she chose to carry no longer hurts her, daughter from a distance. But I will not invite chaos back just because it knocks politely. I no longer need to prove anything, to her, to the world, or to myself. I was never weak. I was quiet. And now, in the silence that follows the storm, I have everything I need. Clarity, love, and a future that no longer depends on someone else's loyalty to feel full. Peace does not ask permission. It arrives when you stop waiting for apologies that never come and build something better without them. Thank you for being a part of this story with me if it moved you. Please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Narrative Stories. I've noticed many of you who enjoy these stories aren't subscribed yet. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel. You're becoming part of a community that values deep, meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys. Together, don't forget to click the notification bell and give me your valuable suggestions about the video in the comment, so you won't miss our next story.